Look at the pretty quilt that Cindy made. If you would like me to show off your quilt on my channel, send a picture to poormansewing@gmail.com.
A tornado wrecks everything right here. It looks like a carpet bombing campaign has gone off. It's literally just rubble in a relatively small area, a few square miles. Hurricanes impact and from a debris standpoint to a moderate level everywhere. You lay that over the topography of Appalachia, you've got a significant problem, right? So we were up in our helicopter. Shout out to Dusty and Kyle, our Hilo guys. We're up in our helicopter flying over to Banner Elk, North Carolina to go link up with some Sentinel guys over there. Now we're friends with the Sentinel Foundation. And I'm observing the mountaintops as we're flying. Every single mountaintop, every single one of them had tornadic damage on the top of the mountaintop and the southeastern slope. That's not where it should be. It should be on the southwestern slope, and it wasn't. It was on the southeastern slope.
What?
Because on the sun side of a mountain, you're going to get warm air. On the facing away the shaded side of the mountain, you have cool air, and when hot, moist air meets cool air, you get tornadoes. If you look at the rotation of this storm and the time of day that it hit in the evening, right? Well, where is the sun in the evening? It's on the southwestern side of the slope. The southwestern side was fine. But the southeastern side, where there shouldn't have been any hot air, there shouldn't have been any tornado activity there, every single one of them, I counted over 60 with my own eyeballs, had tornadic damage on the southeastern side of the slope. And I'd say probably 65 mountaintops that I personally observed as a result of this unprecedented hurricane, which gets back to, you want to talk about controversial stuff. I've been doing this since Hurricane Katrina. I've observed a lot with my own eyeballs. This is unprecedented for a lot of reasons. I don't think this storm, or at least the effects of this storm, were natural. I think that they were encouraged. And everybody, there's patents out there for weather modification, and I know that it sounds crazy, man. They would never do that. Why would they never do this? They do all kinds of stuff all the time. They don't care about human life. These air quote leadership in this country, they don't serve the God that I serve. They serve themselves. They have never cared about human life. They didn't start all of a sudden now because there was a storm headed towards Appalachia. And if you look at the track of this storm, the way it behaved, that was also literally unprecedented. And so I don't know exactly what happened there, but I can tell from the data on the ground that something very, very strange, very, very odd, exceptionally odd happened there, including the tornado damage that it was a result of this hurricane that was in Appalachia that should have never been there in the first place. And it's just, everything about this, again, is weird, bro, because we went out there with skid steers and chainsaws and track hose and bottled water to do what we do. And instead, what we found ourselves doing was fighting for territory with the federal government to be able to bring aid to American citizens. That's an indicator, homie. They are actively, the big they, are actively engaged in area denial. Communities that we were serving with our helos, bringing in food, bringing in med, bringing in water, bringing in heating for these people so that they literally don't die. All of a sudden, that airspace over the top of those communities is now military only. Okay, well, they're going to fly, they're going to go in there with their UH-60s and they'll drop off water, they'll drop off food. Whatever, dude, cool. One less thing I got to worry about. Except they're not doing it. They're doing flyovers, but they're not landing. They're not sling loading. They're not bringing in any resources.
Bro, I haven't seen a single sling load of every single bird I've seen. I'm like, and I said this from the very beginning. I was like, hold on, something stinks to high heaven, bro. I know how this works. Why do they not have anything sling loaded at the bottom of any of these birds? I didn't see one of it. I mean, bro, they're flying right over my house, or at least they were, and not one sling load. Okay, I'll take that back. The only one that had anything slung to the bottom of it were these, when they were restoring power around here, the guy had a giant drill that I guess that would knock the branches off of trees. And that was like the local, but no military aircraft, not one, had a single sling load on it. You tell me that doesn't stink to high heaven.
I'm telling you, bro, and like we institutionally are good at that. Oh, the trees are 100 foot tall. Cool. Give me a 200-foot rope. Not a problem. Let's do this thing. Like, not a problem. We have so much practice from GWAT doing this. Like, it's not even a thing. Like easy. And so communities that were being supported via unconventional access, because the roads and the bridges are washed out, by nonprofits, by the citizenry, all of a sudden that airspace, now it's military only. Military and state law enforcement. And instead of providing supplies, they're just doing flyovers to say that they're servicing the area while people are literally starving to death and have no water, have no med, right? And so you can make an argument here that there's an infringement upon these people's constitutional and property rights because the government that they elected, their representative officials, are not actually facilitating their aid or rescue. They're going through the motions to say that, oh yeah, it's military airspace, we're flying through there, but they're not bringing anything. And in certain areas, like, again, Little Germany and Bumpus Cove in eastern Tennessee, there's an active media blackout that's intentional. Commo was intentionally interrupted, documented by my people, intentionally interrupted, so that the people inside of Little Germany couldn't report out, let alone call for help. Access was intentionally restricted. And then, of course, you've got people driving around in black SUVs trying to buy up land, and in some cases actually buying up land in these areas that have flooded. The whole thing stinks, bro. It's at a tactical level, there was a lot of rain in Appalachia, and that had a lot of downstream effects. Operationally, we're talking eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, western South Carolina. It's a large theater, if you will. Strategically, I don't even know what the federal government is actually trying to accomplish here, but the implications stink to high heaven, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't have enough information to say, oh, they are definitively doing this, Billy. This is what they're doing. But it sure as shit looks like a federal land grab.
Bro, I had Dane Wigington on the other day, and as the Lord would have it, I mean, I scheduled him long before. I had him scheduled for my podcast. Oh, shoot, long before this hurricane ever came through. So when it came through, man, I had some really intelligent questions to ask when he got here. And he said, you know, I mean, this is the world's foremost geoengineering expert. And he told me the equivalent of, imagine, folks, all the water that goes over Niagara Falls in 1 year. Multiply that by 2, and that is how much rain fell from the sky in 2 hours. All of the rain that goes over Niagara Falls in 2 years fell in this area in 2 hours. And then, to your point, you know what? I grew up in Oklahoma, and I've been through my share of tornadoes. You know, I was actually there on the May 3rd tornado when they recorded the highest wind speeds. In fact, foolishly, we drove into it thinking we were going underground. That's another story altogether. But you know what, Bear, to your point, this is why I had this eureka moment as you were saying it, because I'm thinking, hold on. In my life, I've never seen a tornado that didn't come from southwest to northeast. I don't ever recall ever seeing a tornado that didn't track that path. And like I said, I grew up in Oklahoma. I've seen many a tornado, and I've seen the aftermath. And you look at that damage path, and it's always southwest to northeast. And this is so freaking bizarre, bro. If you look at Dane's work, and he has a 90-second video that I recommend everybody go to Geoengineering Watch, not right now, but after you're all done here, write it down, Geoengineering Watch on YouTube, or go to geoengineeringwatch.org. Watch this 90-second video that Dane proved, because I'm boots on the ground here, Bear. I'm going to tell you how it went down first. You know, the sky wasn't like it is right now, where it's just crystal blue like it hasn't been since I was a kid. days before this actual hurricane hit the ground, just like the last one that kind of rolled through here, all of a sudden they're chemtrailing, they're dropping these atmospheric things, whatever, the day beforehand. And then all of a sudden we had flooding long before that hurricane even got here. So we were already well primed. And then all of a sudden we get 30 inches of rain the following day. Now, remember, folks, as a permaculture designer, I can tell you that when energy hits your property, I'm going to take a little side hike here. Remember, you only got 3 different choices here. And I don't care if it's sun, wind, rain. You can either deflect it, you can capture it for a little while, or you can amplify it. And in the best circumstances, you can do all 3. And that's exactly what we try to do here on the Pimpstead. But that's all that aside, not everybody knows or is able. And because of the topography here, you don't necessarily have the ability to do all that. That being said, we got hit with all this. First of all, chemtrails like nobody's business, rain like nobody's business. And then Dane comes out with this video, lo and behold, where he proves, and just like to Bear's point, where the patents are out there, this isn't even, look, Americans, learn how to say the word conspiracy without then adding theory behind it. Because every time you do that, you make yourself look like a flipping moron, because they came out with it in the 60s to make everybody, to marginalize anybody that asked any critical questions of the Kennedy assassination. So when you go around throwing conspiracy theories, you're doing exactly what the powers that shouldn't be want you to do. But anyway, he says they will drop these, they have particles in them. What they are, I do not know. Anyway, these particles in combination with these radar towers can be used to steer the storm. These nanoparticulates that are now entwined into whatever that storm is, and they can use these next rad radar towers. Well, guess what, y'all? It's right there in plain sight in this 90-second video at Dane's website, where he shows that all of the towers on the west side of this storm, not a single one on the east side of it, all of the ones on the west side of this storm kept this storm aimed exactly where it was. Same thing happened with Hurricane Harvey, and he proved it back then. Folks, this sounds like space age stuff. I know that it does, but we are sufficiently ignorant. They're 50, maybe 100 years ahead of what you think you know. This is what they call a breakaway civilization, folks, and they're using this stuff. So when you hear Bear talk about this thing being engineered, we've had this ever since Operation Cirrus, and then in Vietnam we had Operation Popeye. They were drowning out the Ho Chi Minh Trail. We had this technology forever and a day. So if we had it all the way back in 1968 in Vietnam, what do you think they have right now? Well, people like Dane out there are blowing the whistle, and my man Bear's out here blowing the whistle too. Are there any other weird, crazy anomalies that you can talk about, Bear? We've already gone down this road, bro, and I know we don't only have you for a little while longer. But what other crazy, weird things that are happening here, or are there any other that you could cite that you haven't necessarily seen in other disasters?
Well, again, the tornadoes, right? The flooding is immense. It's immaculate. And I think, personal reflection, I think I'm pretty jaded. I've realized this on this deployment. I was having a hard time empathizing with people who had lost everything, and that's something I personally got to work on. I told somebody they were looking at a car in the river, and they're like, the damage, bro. I was like, I've seen a house stacked on top of another house, like a sandwich, with a Peterbilt driven down through the top of both of them, like the toothpick and the club sandwich. And that was one house on one road in Rolling Fork, Mississippi. And the whole rest of the place looked like that too. And they were like, that's insane. I was like, yeah, that was Tuesday, And so I'm trying, brother. I'm trying to be better, because on the one hand,
I get it.
On the one hand, my heart breaks for the people that lost everything. On the other hand, it's almost like I've got to be a good surgeon. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to do a job. Let me in here. Let me do what I'm good at, and I have to have enough rapport with the patient that you'll let me operate on you. But that's really my job, is to get in here, cut the bad stuff out, and then go home again. But as far as anomalies are concerned, there were a lot of people in the area that had no good reason to be there, like agencies and organizations that I've never observed on any other storm. again, you brought up the illegals that are working by these rivers. Customs and Border Patrol. Why are they there? Why is their TAC team there? Because we documented, observed, photographed, videoed Customs and Border Patrol, SRT, pulling security for FEMA. That FEMA had 30 minivans, each one with 4 to 6 FEMA agents in it, and half of them had dog cages in the back with cadaver dogs. And then when asked, because some of my guys, they've got more balls and sense, walk up and just start filming these guys, and I love them for it. Are you FEMA? No, we're not FEMA. Well, you got FEMA windbreakers on. You got FEMA windbreakers laying in the seat. So either they are FEMA and they're denying that they're FEMA, or they're not FEMA, but they have FEMA credentials to act as if they are FEMA. And so I don't know who those people were. But that's like one of many incidents. There was another in one region of Western North Carolina, a group of civil affairs guys rolling around in multicam uniforms with no name tapes and beards. They certainly didn't look like civil affairs. They looked like a soft unit, and they acted like a soft unit. And civil affairs, the only difference between CIA and CA is the I, right? I don't know what they're doing out there, but why are there civil affairs units running around in Western North Carolina after a hurricane? These are all things, maybe we'll get answers to these as we continue to work our way forward in this thing, but in the moment, it doesn't make any sense at all. I've never seen civil affairs deployed after a natural disaster, ever. In 19 years of doing this, I've never observed that before. And the FEMA cadaver dogs, again, are hitting on entire valleys because there's 10 to 20 foot of mud with thousands of bodies underneath it in these valleys, where a 30-foot wall of mud from that 2 years of Niagara Falls rainfall is a wall of mud 20 to 30 foot high, come down the mountain and just smashed everything in its path. And I don't love the fact that these areas are being bulldozed over the top of, but I also don't know how one would even begin to remediate that. They're going to be finding bodies from this thing for 1,000 years, probably. And it's not 213 people, the official number who died. I know of one location in Swannanoa, North Carolina, that went through 10 to 12,000 body bags. 10 to 12,000. And so it begs the question, why? Why is this not being reported? And I genuinely think the answer is the people who are at the helm at the federal level, Alejandro Mayorkas and FEMA and Department of Homeland Security, they squandered the funds, the resources that they had to be able to deal with something like this in the first place, to push a political agenda. And we're 3 weeks out from an election. And that should have no bearing whatsoever on the recovery efforts in Appalachia, but unfortunately it does. And that's an indicator of how far this great nation has fallen. And the last thing I'll say to you, because I'm going to have to jump, brother, is we have to do a much better job of differentiating between the beast system of the federal government and the American people. The American people are by and large incredible. The amount of resilience and ingenuity and brotherly love that I have observed in the last 3 weeks in Appalachia is stunning. And I'll tell you this too. Our God is God, and he is incredibly real. And he was meeting needs in the moment as we were praying and asking him for things. Literally in the moment, they were arriving. Ask whatever you ask for my glory, and my name shall be given unto you. I was walking with one of my guys through our distro yard in Jonesboro, Tennessee. He comes up to me and he says, "Hey, we just got a call from Fender Farms. They got 100 people. They've got nowhere to sleep." And I was like, "Well, let's set them up. We got tents, we got sleeping bags." He goes, "Yeah, but we need mattresses or cots or something." I was like, "Okay, we'll get it." I'm walking around behind the semi, and there's a 24-foot trailer backing up. Guy come out of Michigan. And I stopped and I talked to him. I said, "Hey, buddy, what do you got?" He said, "I got 104 mattresses." I said, "Don't even unload. Just go straight to Fender's Farm." Boom, in the moment. There's another woman showed up. She was a local. She'd been out by herself for like 7 days. She looked like hell. she looked like she'd been through some shit, right? And one of my guys, Bob, is praying with her. She's like, I need a generator. And he's like, I'm sorry, we're out. We sent 22 generators out this morning. And she's just breaking down, sobbing. And Bob's like, let's just pray. Please let me pray for you. It says, Father, you got a daughter here who needs a generator. If you could just bring us a generator, we'd really appreciate it. And as they're finishing praying, this guy comes flying into the yard from Florida in a Tacoma with a generator, 12K generator. He's like, I got here as quick as I could. I got a generator. And then everybody starts sobbing, right? He's like, don't even unload. Bring it to this lady's house. And as we're telling that story to a group of guys Saturday night, most of which were, let's say, maybe not as strong in their faith as they would like to be, we're telling the generator story. And another guy walks in and he says, hey, can anybody help me unload? I've got 12 generators. And I looked at the one guy and I said, oh, like the apostles? I looked at another guy. I said, oh, like the tribes? And then everybody just started sobbing. I was like, somebody go unload this guy's 12 generators. And so in spite of the federal level neglect that is occurring here, the God that we serve is real and is sovereign, and his people, we have way more power than we think we do. And so we've got to rightly divide between the citizenry of the United States of America and this corrupt government that we have, because our people are by and large amazing. And incredible things happen where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name. And we need to not forget that.
Bear, speaking of sobbing, man, you're going to have me over here crying like Justin Rhodes, bro. This is just, I mean, incredibly moving. Man, not to get all broke back on you, but I love you, brother. And tell everybody.
I love you too, bro.
Hey. Yeah, I'm glad we're not hugging right now, dude. We might create some rumors. Once again, I know you're going to get bouncing here, brother, but tell everybody once again, man, hey, folks, please spread this far and wide. But most importantly, tell everybody how they can help out my man, Bear. Bear, once again, tell everybody where – look, y'all, tell everybody what you need and how they can support you. And don't be afraid to tell everybody about the monetary needs because, folks, he's not getting help from anybody else. So break bread.
www.grindstoneministries.com. Our op board is up there. Our list of needs is up there. If the Spirit moves you to donate, you can do that through the website, grindstoneministries.com. There are other people pretending to be Grindstone to raise funds, so please don't. Just go straight to the website. Don't give to any other GoFundMe or GiveSendGo. That's not us. grindstoneministries.com is where you can find us. And if you want to serve, email serve@grindstoneministries.com. As far as needs, we now need heating and power generation. We cannot get enough buddy heaters, small propane tanks, adapters to large propane tanks themselves, kerosene heaters, kerosene, generators, 30-amp generator plugs so that we can backfeed main panels so that at least people can have some lights and some refrigeration, gasoline, diesel, blankets, sleeping bags, all that stuff. We're now, it's beginning to be winter in Appalachia. There's already been some snow on the ground in some regions around there. It's below freezing in many areas, especially at elevation. And these people are, the power company's saying 4 to 6 months out before power is restored. Some of these areas I've been to, I used to build power construction. I know what it takes. It's going to be a year or more. And so our whole mission, what Grindstone does, is the preservation of life. We are a disaster relief ministry, and we are for the preservation of life. And so we've solved the immediate needs of food, water, shelter, medical. Now we're looking at long-term needs of how do we steward these people through what is going to be a very cold and dark winter. And so we need electrification, power generation, and heating significantly. And you can find out details for that. Just go to the website. You can contact us through the website. And if the Spirit convicts you, you can give there. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. No hard feelings. I'm not here to shill for anything.
All right, man. Hey, y'all, I want to thank everybody in the chat, and I want to and please put this out to everybody you know. I want to give a shout out and a hat tip always to my friend Bear. And until next time, y'all, I want to thank you and bless you. And remember, stay alert, stay alive.
They don't want an individual, just a carbon copy. You spitting that man, a copy. Yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of